Hi students, it's Mrs. Schreiber and we're going to do a lesson today on characters. It's building from the lesson that we had from the day before. So let's get started, and what we're going to do first is we're going to do a Go Noodle, and it's to get us calm, alert, and ready to learn.
When your day doesn't seem to be going quite right, there are things you can imagine in your mind that might help things get better. Close your eyes, listen, and follow along, or keep them open and follow along that way. Whatever works for you. Settle in your chair or in your space on the floor. You may choose to lean back a little or sit tall. Let your hands rest in your lap. Try to put a picture in your mind. There's a small tree on a small hill. There's not much else around, just the tree. In the distance, off to one side or maybe behind the tree, there's a storm approaching. Imagine that you can see the wind starting to affect the tree. The leaves and the little twigs begin to move. Then the larger branches bend just a little. Then they bend a lot. Imagine that rain or snow starts to fall, and the small tree is getting wet and is starting to really sway even more with the increasing wind. The clouds above appear to be getting darker. The tree remains strong as it bends to one side. It stays firm in the ground. In your mind, let the storm rage on and push the small tree for a few more moments. It can take it. The tree is strong. The tree's roots secure it to the ground, and the tree knows how to bend its little twigs and its large branches. It knows how to let its strong trunk sway with the push of the wind. The tree is safe. We can be like this tree. We can remain strong during challenges in our lives. We can bend, adjust, and hang on when we need to. We can be strong. We are strong. Now notice in the picture in your mind that the storm is gradually moving away. Further and further it moves from the tree. The tree's trunk straightens. The branches bounce back, and the twigs settle. A few leaves have fallen to the ground, but that's okay. The tree remains strong and calm. It weathered the storm. We can rest now. Imagine that most of the clouds drift away, and the sun peeks out. Breathe in and enjoy a long, slow out-breath.
All right, now that we're calm, alert, and ready to learn, let's get started. The other day we practiced with homophones and we looked at the words week and week. Today we're going to do more with homophones with our word work. But first, let's try to remember some of those homophones. We're going to watch this Go Noodle to get us started.
Bye. Woo! Go Noodle with it. Blaze of friends. Let's go. Yo, you're about to get your mind blown, cause I'm about to rap about the homophone. Yeah. Quick, get your grandmama on the phone, cause we're gonna hear all about the homophone. Homophones are different meaning words that sound exactly the same. That's correct. This might sound kinda tricky, but I know you got the freshest brain. I do. Hear like H-E-A-R means to perceive a sound. A sound. I can't hear a single thing but this basset hound. Hear like H-E-R-E means in this place. Like I stand here and you stand there, so you don't drool in my face. You're like Y-O-U-R means it belongs to you. It's mine. Your breath is kind of funky, dog. Want some gum to chew? You're like you apostrophe R-E is a contraction of U and R. You're not just a smelly basset hound, you're also a pogo star. Yo, that was great. Yo, you're about to get your mind blown, cause I'm about to rap about the homophone. Quick, get up out of your pajamas, yo. We're about to get woke to the homophone. Come on. Homophones are different meaning words that sound exactly the same. Precisely. Why is the English language so insane? That's crazy. It's like ITS with no apostrophe means belonging to a thing. Like quick, give that baby robot its robot teething ring. It's like it apostrophe S. It's a contraction of it and is or has. Like that baby robot only goes to sleep if it's listening to jazz. Y like BY identifies who did something. That's right. Like this entire song was written by some baby robots that sing. Bye like BYE is a way to say farewell. Goodbye. Like bye baby robot, see you later. Watch out for that stairwell. Yay. You're right there? They're like T-H-E-I-R means it belongs to them. They're like T-H-E-R-E means it is in that place. They're like they apostrophe R-E is a contraction of they and R. Their UFOs are over there and they're all playing space guitar. Two like T-O expresses motion in a direction. Two like T-W-O is referring to the number. Two spelled T-double-O means to an excessively high degree. That's different. I'm going to the vet with my two friends cause my chinchilla has too many fleas. Yo, you're about to get your mind blown, cause I'm about to rap about the homophones. Quick, get that llama a blueberry song, cause he dropped mad info on the homophone. Homophones are different meaning words that sound exactly the same. Exactly. Now your homophonous knowledge will get some critical acclaim. Hey. Homophonous. 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 Okay. Homophonous. Homophonous.
All right, so now that we know some of those words, let's review some of the words that we heard in that video. Hear, H-E-A-R, and hear, H-E-R-E. So hear, H-E-A-R is like I can hear you, listening. And H-E-R-E is like I'm right here in this place. Your and your, Y-O-U-R, that's a possessive, like this is your book. And your, U apostrophe R-E, is a contraction for you are, like you're the best. It's and its, I-T-S, is showing ownership. So it's my, or it's book. And it apostrophe S is a contraction for it is. So it's sunny outside today. Bye, bye, bye. BY is a preposition, so it's like I'm going by the refrigerator, or I'm going by the book. By, BYE, is talking about like goodbye, like bye, I'll see you later. And BUY is a verb, so I want to buy a new car. There, and there. THEIR, I always take and remember this one because it has an I in it. So it makes it's showing possession, ownership. And so like it's their book. And that I in there reminds me that it's ownership because it's mine. Their, T-H-E-R-E, is showing it's in a place. So it's over there. And then their, T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E, is the contraction. They are. They're the best. To, and to. T-O is a preposition, so I'm going to the movies. I'm going to the store. T-W-O is the number 2. And T-O-O, that's like I have too much homework. I'm sure you have a lot. All right, so a review again. A homophone is a word that sounds the same as another word, but they have different meanings. So let's do some words rule with homophones again. Thinking like we did the other day, we looked at the words week and week. Today we're looking at the words through and through. So she threw the huge ball right through the hoop. So through, T-H-R-E-W, means like you're throwing something. And T-H-R-O-U-G-H, that's like I'm going through something. I'm going in the middle of something or between something. The dog raced through the tunnel. So T-H-R-O-U-G-H, I'm going through something. Right after his owner, threw, T-H-R-E-W, the bone. So using these two words, just like we did the other day with week and week, I want you to jot down on a piece of paper or just shout it out really loud at home. Which word you choose? I threw out my homework. Which threw would we want to use? If you put in T-H-R-E-W, you are correct. Threw, I threw out my homework. And I'm sure none of you have ever done that. Now I have to go through the garbage to find it. Which one would I pick? If you guess T-H-R-O-U-G-H, I have to go through the garbage to find it. So I have to dig in the garbage. Hopefully you haven't done that. The next one, the river flowed slowly through the town. Which one would you pick? If you chose T-H-R-O-U-G-H, you are correct. Through the town. As the fishermen threw their lines in the water. Which through do you pick this time? If you chose T-H-R-E-W, you are correct because the fishermen threw their lines into the water. The last one, all through the day. So let's think which one we would pick. Are we through the day throwing it, or are we through the day going through it? If you pick T-H-R-O-U-G-H, you are correct. We're going through the day. And I was thinking about how I threw the winning shot in the game last night. Which through do you think we should pick? Through the winning shot or through the winning shot? If you pick T-H-R-E-W, you are correct. Way to go on your word work today. Let's get started on our reading lesson. We're looking again at RL 2.3, which says to describe how characters in a story respond to major events and how characters affect the plot. So the other day we focused more on how the characters responded to the story Chrysanthemum. Today we're looking at how the characters affect the plot. So I can describe how characters affect the plot. Thinking about characters, we need to remember about their character traits. Character traits, we see the physical things about characters, what their hair looked like, what clothes they had on, what color eyes they have. But our inside traits are the thoughts and the words and the actions that those characters do that show who they are as a person. So we look at what they are saying, what they're feeling, what they do as far as their actions, and what they're thinking. And that makes up their character traits. So as we're reading the story, I want you to jot down on a piece of paper maybe some character traits that you think that Chrysanthemum has. So thinking of character trait words, they'd be like bossy or happy or brave or embarrassed. Those are a few words. But keep those in mind as we're reading the story and think about those words as I'm reading. We're going to read Chrysanthemum by Kevin Hinckus again today. The day she was born was the happiest day in her parents' lives. She's perfect, said her mother. Absolutely, said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect. Her name must be everything she is, said her mother. Her name must be absolutely perfect, said her father. And it was. Chrysanthemum. Her parents named her Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew, and when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name. She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up. She loved the way it sounded when her father called her for dinner. And she loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself in the bathroom mirror. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum loved the way her name looked when it was written with ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written with icing on her birthday cake. And she loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with her fat orange crayon. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect. And then she started school. On the first day, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress and her brightest smile, and she ran all the way. Hooray, said Chrysanthemum. School. All right, let's stop just a minute and think about how Chrysanthemum feels about her name. Do you think that she's feeling happy? Do you think she feels proud? Do you think she feels angry? I feel like she seems pretty excited because I know that she likes to write her name on everything. And she really feels proud about that. Let's keep reading to find out what happens next. But when Mrs. Chud took roll call, everyone giggled upon hearing Chrysanthemum's name. It's so long, said Joe. It scarcely fits on your name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. You're named after a flower. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Mrs. Chud that Chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters. That's exactly half as many letters as there are in the entire alphabet, Victoria explained. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chud. Now put your head down. If I had a name like yours, I'd change it, Victoria said, as the students lined up to go home. I wish I could, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. So let's think about how, in this part of the story, Chrysanthemum, we know how she's reacting to it because she just got kind of sad and she didn't feel good about her name. But think about how she reacted to them and how if she had reacted something differently, a different way, that it might have changed the outcome of the story. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. My name is too long. It scarcely fits on my name tag, and I'm named after a flower. Oh, pish posh, said her mother. Your name is beautiful. And precious and priceless and fascinating and winsome, said her father. It's everything you are, said her mother. Absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt much better after her favorite dinner, macaroni and cheese with ketchup, and an evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was Jane. It was an extremely pleasant dream. The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most comfortable jumper. She walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. Chrysanthemum, 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 she wrote. She even looks like a flower, said Victoria as Chrysanthemum entered the playground. Let's pick her, said Rita, pointing. Let's smell her, said Joe. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said, a chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in a garden with worms and other dirty things. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chud. Now put your head down. I just cannot believe your name, Victoria said as the students lined up to go home. Neither can I, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. Ugh, school is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. They said I even looked like a flower. They pretended to pick me and smell me. Oh, pish posh, said her mother. They're just jealous. And envious and begrudging and discontented and jaundiced, said her father. Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours, said her mother. After all, it's absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt a trifle better after her favorite dessert, chocolate cake with buttercream frosting, and another evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she really was a chrysanthemum. She sprouted leaves and petals. Victoria picked her and plucked the leaves and petals one by one until there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. It was the worst nightmare of Chrysanthemum's life. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning. She loaded the pockets with her most prized possessions and her good luck charms. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. Chrysanthemum, 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 the flowers seemed to say. That morning, the students were introduced to Mrs. Twinkle, the music teacher. Her voice was like something out of a dream, as was everything else about her. The students were speechless. They thought Mrs. Twinkle was an indescribable wonder. They went out of their way to make a nice impression. Mrs. Twinkle led the students in scales, and then she assigned roles for the class musicale. Victoria was chosen as the dainty fairy queen. Rita was chosen as the spiffy butterfly princess. Jo was chosen as the all-important pixie messenger, and Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy. Chrysanthemum's a daisy, chrysanthemum's a daisy, Jo, Rita, and Victoria chanted, thinking it was wildly funny. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. What's so humorous? Asked Mrs. Twinkle. Chrysanthemum, was the answer. Her name is so long, said Jo. Scarcely fits on her name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. She's named after a flower. My name is long, said Mrs. Twinkle. It is, said Jo. My name would scarcely fit on a name tag, said Mrs. Twinkle. It would, said Rita, pointing. And, said Mrs. Twinkle, I'm named after a flower too. You are, said Victoria. Yes, said Mrs. Twinkle. My name is Delphinium, Delphinium Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I'm considering Chrysanthemum as a name. I think it's absolutely perfect. Chrysanthemum could scarcely believe her ears. She blushed, she beamed, she bloomed. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Jo, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly. Call me Marigold, said Jo. I'm Carnation, said Rita, pointing. My name is Lily of the Valley, said Victoria. Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew it. Overall, the class musicale was a huge success. Chrysanthemum was absolutely perfect as a daisy. Victoria made the only mistake. She completely forgot her lines as the dainty fairy queen. Chrysanthemum thought it was wildly funny, and she giggled throughout the entire dance of the flowers. Eventually, Mrs. Twinkle gave birth to a healthy baby girl, and of course, she named her Chrysanthemum. So let's look back. Which character trait best describes Chrysanthemum at the beginning of the story? Was she A, clumsy, B, loving, or C, active? If we think back to the very beginning of the story, how did she react whenever the kids were making fun of her? And did she love her name? We know she wasn't clumsy because she didn't fall around, and she wasn't really active. She didn't really do anything. She was dancing, but she was loving, B. How do you think Chrysanthemum felt about her name at the beginning of the story? A, fearful, B, worried, C, delightful. She was C, delightful about her name at the beginning of the story. What character trait best describes Chrysanthemum in the middle of the story? So thinking about when the kids were making fun of her. Was she A, relaxed, B, embarrassed, or C, excited? She was B, embarrassed. She didn't like her name anymore and she felt like it was not perfect at all. In this question, I want you to think for a minute. Imagine if Chrysanthemum had gotten angry when the other kids teased her about her name. How do you think this would have affected or changed the story? Well, if she would have gotten angry, she probably would have not been able to go to school the next day and she might have missed out on meeting Mrs. Twinkle and finding out all the good things that she found out about Miss Twinkle. About Miss Twinkle had a long name, it scarcely fit on her name tag, and she was named after a flower. And also, if she had a baby girl, she was going to name it Chrysanthemum. So she might have missed out on all of that. So looking back to her character traits of being loving and kind, she reacted the way that her character should have reacted. So let's practice. Remember we read The Lost Cat the other day. So I have a couple questions just like that we did today, some multiple choice, and also an imagine question where if the characters would have reacted differently, how would this story have been changed? Our code word for today is mouse, M-O-U-S-E, like Mickey. And remember, our code word is mouse. Thanks a lot for joining me today, and I really appreciate all your hard work. Keep it up and have a great day. Thanks.